Hey there. It's another beautiful day and I've got my coffee. Let's watch some stuff.
This is a conspiracy theory. I'm going to admit that straight up. But at this point, I am convinced that the Democratic Party does not want to win the 2024 presidential election. Not because they're losers, but because in some cases, losing is actually winning. Okay, so at this point, they've already canceled primary elections in 4 states: Tennessee, North Carolina, Massachusetts, and Florida. So not only are they deliberately disenfranchising their voters, but their anointed candidate, Joe Biden, has the lowest approval rating of pretty much any candidate in modern history. It's hard to make a case that this is a winning formula. Now, the question is, why wouldn't they want to win? How does that make any sense? Well, the most important thing that we have to understand is that the Democratic Party is not a public service organization. It is, first and foremost, a private corporation. And the job of any corporation, as we know, is to make money. But it's hard for them to make money when they govern because, and this is the huge conundrum for the Democratic Party always, is that part of their party platform, in theory, is supposed to be anti-corporate. Now, don't get me wrong, the Republican Party also only cares about money, but they can do so more honestly because that is their party ethos. Cut taxes, deregulate, become a billionaire. That's the American dream. And if you can't achieve it, it's got nothing to do with systemic injustice. It's 100% your fault. Now, back to the money part. It just so happens that Trump is a fundraising machine for the Democrats. Nobody ever talks about this, but just look at how much money the Democrats raised in 2020 versus 2016, nearly triple, and look at Republicans, pretty much the same. And of course, who is about to be president if Joe loses? Hence, Joe Biden for president. Take it or leave it, we don't care. They say losing, in the case of the Democratic Party, can actually mean winning.
So that's pretty interesting. He's not campaigning. They're just canceling their primaries. Like nobody's going to run against him. Like so they don't want to win. They want to lose. Why is he talking like he's going to win, right? Oh, I'm going to win. Well, I guess like they said, losing is winning because of the money stuff. I don't know. I heard something crazy. Now, Roseanne said that, how he's allowing all of this mess to happen down in Texas and how New York is turning into just a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. I mean, Sacramento is already a disaster. San Francisco's destroyed. Seattle, Portland, they're all just a mess, right? So he's allowing it all to happen. And then he's just going to declare martial law and be a dictator. That's what Roseanne says. What do you think? Do you think it's true? It's crazy. I hope not. Hey, I just want to take a second and thank you so much for hanging out with me for today's coffee talk. If you're having a good time, maybe you'd consider hitting that subscribe button and come back tomorrow because I'm making a new video every day.
Have you guys ever seen this video of NASA exposing where the International Space Station is? Check this out.
And all of that happened in a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
Next giant leap will also start right here in Houston, orbiting aboard the International Space Station. Right here in Houston. This Houston? Yeah, that's right. Johnson Space Center. Go down to Building 9, go to Street View, and go inside, and you'll see a mock-up of the International Space Station, but it's perfectly accurate down to every wire, and we're going to explore these rooms together. And I was walking through these rooms, and I started to notice that, hey, I've seen this before on the live feeds, and I noticed something out of my peripherals, and I said, wait a minute, wait, what? I've seen that before! Ah, there it is! I knew I'd seen that before, and whoa, a lot of magical things happen right here.
So I wanted to see if there was some validity to this. So I went on Google Earth and I typed in Johnson Space Center, right? And then I went to go look for Building 9. This is where they're keeping it. And you got to put it in the Street View, all right? And then look at this, you guys. Look at that. Look at the camera. Does this look familiar? Does this look familiar, y'all? Oh my goodness. Look at that, y'all. This is literally our childhood. Look at this. I went through it. Look at that, y'all. Look at the models, right? The dummies. Look at that, y'all. That's crazy, y'all. So how do you explain this, you guys? Has all our lives been a lie? How do you explain this? Look at this, you guys. Y'all, this is crazy. This literally blows my mind. Even though I know this literally all a lie, but hey, but check this out, y'all. This is our childhood. You know, Bill Nye the Science Guy, all liars. What's it called? Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's crazy. Liars. Gatekeepers, you guys. Wow, that's crazy. I guess this is why they say, Houston, we have a problem.
If that was super secret, I don't think they would allow it to be seen on Google Earth. Just saying. But I think the reason they would have a mock-up like that is just in case there's any kind of issues. Just like in the movie Apollo 13, where Gary Sinise is like, I need everything they have on that ship. I think they do that now. Like they have a mock-up of whatever vessels they have out in space, just in case something were to happen. And they have a duplicate of every single item that is on that ship. Just in case there's an issue, they have everything at their disposal to create a solution. Yeah, that was a pretty easy explanation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today I'd like to bring to your attention a potential fraud on an enormous scale happening in York County. There's now clear evidence of NASA using numerous methods to grossly mislead the public about astronauts being on the International Space Station. During interior ISS scenes from NASA's own live feed, the use of wires, harnesses, green screens, and virtual reality have been detected to achieve the appearance of a weightless environment. Examples of this include astronauts fading in and out of the screen, green screen glitches, grabbing objects that aren't really there, pulling on invisible wires, getting tangled in their harnesses, and even astronauts appearing out of thin air. This begs the obvious question. If they're really up there, why are they using Hollywood techniques to fake the footage? Now, unfortunately, I can't show you these clips in here today, but I will be sending them to you. Moving on, outside the International Space Station, during spacewalks, air bubbles have been recorded on numerous occasions. How is it possible for air bubbles to be present in the vacuum of space? I once questioned astronaut Scott Kelly about this phenomenon. His body language and answers only created more questions. In 2013, astronaut Luca Parmitano nearly drowned during a spacewalk when his helmet filled with water. This happened again just last year. Air bubbles, helmets filling with water, and drowning. Are they in space or are they underwater? Now, what's really interesting is that they trained for spacewalks in an underwater pool with a complete ISS replica. Now, surely they aren't filming these spacewalks in an underwater pool and then editing them to appear if they're in space, because that sure would be something, wouldn't it? I'm calling on the Brevard County Commissioners to open a full investigation into NASA's fraudulent practices and use of taxpayer dollars. It costs NASA $3 billion per year to operate the ISS, and if they don't have a darn good explanation as to why they're faking these videos, I and the public would like a darn good explanation as to where our tax money is going. And if they are indeed faking the funk, it is our duty to expose and eliminate this fraudulent and astronomically wasteful ISS program. And look, I know what you're all thinking. The NASA is part of the federal government, and you're just county commissioners. Even if what I'm saying is true, what can you do? But let me remind you, not only is this happening in your county, as public officials, you have the platform and the ability to make a statement or hold a press conference, alerting the public, state, and federal authorities to investigate further. You have the power to start the conversation. Video evidence of everything I described today will be emailed to you all, and I truly hope we can get to the bottom of this. I look forward to the day that $3 billion annual budget is put towards our veterans, our homeless, maybe some of that mental health stuff the young lady just spoke about, and the revitalization of Brevard County. Thank you for your time today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
In case you haven't noticed, I found a bunch of NASA videos today, except for the first one. I don't know how that first one got in there, but I'm not taking it out because I'm already past it. And this is just the way it's going to go. I don't know what to say about that. I saw a breakdown of the one where the astronaut was flipping over, and it looked like they were holding onto wire. It looks like an awful lot of wires there, doesn't it? It is a little suspicious looking. Why would they do that, though? I mean, yeah, all this money is being funneled into them, so they got to be like, yeah, we're using the money for that. But man,
this might be the most disturbing experiment that NASA has ever conducted. Morbid Facts, Part 87. In the 1960s, NASA was funding an experiment to try to teach humans how to communicate with dolphins. They hired a woman named Margaret Howe-Lavatt, whose only credentials were that she loved animals, perhaps a little too much. She stayed in a flooded home with a male dolphin named Peter and practically lived with him for 6 days out of the week. Peter was a sexually maturing male dolphin, so Margaret often had to satisfy him to calm him down. This led to the formation of an intense emotional bond that was abruptly ended once the experiment was shut down. A heartbroken Peter struggled mightily with the separation and became deeply depressed. One day, he decided to take one final breath before sinking down to the bottom of his tank and effectively ending his own life. Ever since then, this experiment has been regarded as extremely unethical and weird as shit.
I did a whole bunch of research on this. I read all kinds of things. So the doctor that was in charge of this experiment was doing brain surgery, not brain surgery, but brain measurements on dolphins. And unfortunately, at that time, the technology wasn't so advanced, and a lot of times the dolphins would succumb to the experiment. And while he was doing that, the dolphin that he was doing the brain messing around on was repeating what they were saying, kind of in a high pitch and low pitch voice between the doctor and his female assistant, what they were saying. And so they're like, oh, we can teach dolphins to talk. And then this woman was like, I can do it. I'm paraphrasing. And so they flooded a part of the studio, or the area where they were being kept. The problem was he was sexually maturing, and it was so difficult to move him from that location down to the pool where the other two female dolphins were, so that he can relieve himself with one of them. So she would just manually satisfy him to save time while she was experimenting, trying to get him to communicate with her. Doesn't make it any less gross. That's weird. But I guess if you were like, from a scientific standpoint, it makes sense. But she was no scientist. She just really liked dolphins. So that's kind of a little weird. Like, she didn't even think scientifically about it. She thought dolphin. I don't know. I don't know what she thought about it. But it wasn't as erotic as it's being made out to be. In fact, there was an expose in Hustler magazine with a picture of like the woman and the dolphin, and it was nothing like that. But yeah, that's weird. And NASA did that. Go NASA.
The moon landing never happened. Well, that's what some conspiracy theorists say, and here's why. Number 1, the flag. How is it waving in no atmosphere? NASA claims this was for image. A limp flag doesn't look good. So they added a horizontal rod that didn't fully extend to the length of the flag, which gave it a waving motion. Number 2, the stars. Why can't we see them in the photos? Well, unlike our eyes, photos can only take a certain amount of light. The light from the sun and other sources made it too bright for them to be visible. Number 3, radiation. How did the astronauts not die from radiation exposure? The spacecraft's hull supposedly shielded the astronauts from being exposed to lethal radiation dosages. Once they were out of the extreme radiation zone, their few hours on the moon were not considered to be detrimental. So do you think the moon landing was faked, or did it really happen?
I totally think it happened. And I've seen lots of explanation for how they, get through the radiation. Like they said, that the small amount of time that they were on the moon was inconsequential. Passing through those belts, I can't remember the name of them right now. I could look them up, but I'm not gonna. Passing through the radiation belts, supposedly they were only there for short periods of time. Like, they had planned it to go through a certain section where it was going to have less exposure to radiation. And yeah, there's lots of science in there. that says yes, and a lot of science that says no, but I'm still team we landed on the moon.
Eugene Reuben Akers. I don't want any money for what I'm doing because hopefully this video won't come out until after my death. So I have nothing to gain, nothing to profit by telling you what I'm going to tell you. In 1968, my father was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico. We lived in Clovis, New Mexico. He was in the military police for over 20 years, and on his deathbed in 2002, we made a recording of what happened. Project Slam Dunk was the name of this. President Johnson in 1968, okay, in Cannon Air Force Base in 1968, he said by the time he got there, that there was already 2 large hangars that were connected. There was hundreds of dump trucks that came in and dumped sand and stone, and cement powder was powdered over the top of all that to make it look like a lunar landscape. They had men that fashioned it into a lunar landscape, he said. Okay, I've never known my dad to lie, so this all took me by surprise. What's that all about? So anyway, he said that in front of the airplane hangars was pole framing with large canvas tents that was concealing the inside of the staging area. The inside of the staging area on flatbed trucks was paraded the lunar lander that was reassembled back inside the hangars. All of the walls were painted flat black, and the ceilings as well. He was sworn to secrecy by the NSA, and they would put him in prison for breaking that oath. When Dad saw the moon landing on TV, he cried. He said he knew that what he had witnessed on TV was exactly what they recorded in that hangar.
I wonder if it was just a testing site. Like they were setting it up to do, testing of the lunar lander, right? It makes a lot of sense. Since I'm 100% convinced that we went to the moon, yeah, I think that they were doing a test. It had to be. Then again, maybe they were filming something, like the lunar landing. I don't know. Well, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate your time, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Here's my cutting room floor.
3, 2, 1.
Let's watch some stuff. I'll be the first to admit that a lot of politics goes directly over my head. I didn't understand a whole lot of that. And then he can just declare martial law and be a dictator. That's what Roseanne said. Yeah, I don't get it. Not my area. Not my area. Sorry. She was not naughty time. Funny business happened. Horizontal mambo. Hanky panky. She was not playing hide the sausage with the dolphin. You. The lady was not doing sexy time with the dolphin. Knock it off. She was just helping it out, I guess. I don't know. That's weird. I'm still 100% team we went to the moon. There seems to be an awful lot of evidence pointing to team we didn't go to the moon. I still think we went to the moon. But I say that's crazy a lot, don't I? I'm sorry. I think things are crazy. Things are crazy. I did a lot. I read so much stuff. Veterinarian guy. I can't remember his name. I did so much research that I don't remember the guy's name. We landed on the moon. You and me. We did it. You and I. We landed on the moon. Then again, maybe they were filming something like the lunar landing. I don't know. Oh my goodness.